Welcome to Talking Down the Highway, a Beach Boys podcast presented by Strange Currencies Music. I'm Matt.
I'm Glenn.
I'm Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Hi.
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
Hey, Bowie.
The ice and snow has melted so much more since our last episode.
It has.
Yeah.
We've been snowed in, and at the risk of being too sentimental here so soon in the podcast, having been snowed in, having this to look forward to has helped me make it through. I've been listening to Friends this whole week.
We don't do this in the intro.
Well, I'm just saying.
Talking about people he knows.
I'm just saying. It's nice to be here with a couple of my friends.
Yes.
Talking music.
Yeah.
And so I know there's probably some listeners out there. We might have to do a listener update. If you're a listener out there.
Tell your friends.
I'm just saying, this could be a fun experiment. Like, I enjoy, it helps me get through the week knowing that I'm going to listen to an album this week. I'm going to talk to my friends about it.
Yeah.
And so,
it's like a book club.
It's like a book club. You too could grab a friend. If you've enjoyed up to this point, you should go call a friend. Say, hey, have you listened to much Beach Boys? You should listen to this podcast with me. I'm on episode 6. Let's listen to Friends this week.
Yeah. It's like a book club.
This is actually episode 19.
Whatever.
You don't have to read a book. You don't have to
fired for that.
You don't have to watch a movie adaptation.
Right. Yeah.
Who wants to read a book?
Exactly.
I mean, I suppose you could get on Wikipedia and read the update.
You have to knock on a stranger's door who has the movie rented out just so you can watch the movie with strangers. And all you need to do is Wikipedia,
That's
it.
Research. Easy.
Yeah.
Good times.
So tell them about us.
Wikipedia
Wikipedia down the highway, a Beach Boys fraudcast.
That's it. Yeah. That should happen. So, and we're on Instagram, so you could
we really didn't do any plugs last time because we ended the last episode on such a
chaos and
one might say it was a little bit of a shit show.
Hey yo! Spoiler.
Hey yo! Don't
spoil.
We're losing.
Don't Google
soil
those things.
No soiling.
Nope.
Okay.
But yeah,
but if you go to Talkin' Beach Boys on Instagram, you can kind of follow along. You could get on the
There's
social
some
media.
exquisite memes.
There's some good memes on there.
I post a solid 1.5 times per week.
Hey,
very...
I was very appreciative when the snow kicked in and I had that little, picture of Brian smiling at me in a snowy forest. That was very kind.
I was going to say, there's some memes for sure, but it's for me, it's really kind of evolved into find the most unusual, the weirdest photo of the band or Brian that I can and then
put it in
Mike context. Well, that too, but then I'll try to find a little snippet of a song that's appropriate. But like there's the picture of them all in the snow, with that I posted before and you've probably seen before. They've got sleds and stuff. But then from that same session is Brian hugging a tree, looking frightened in the snow. Right. And so I'll post that one. Things like that.
Is this the same session where they're chasing goblins in the forest?
No,
that's a different.
Because that wasn't in the winter.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, they were wearing short sleeve shirts in that.
Every once in a while, I'll Photoshop a Santa hat on Brian, things like that. So
good times.
Anyway, Talking Beach Boys.
Join
on
us. Join us. Come listen to the Beach Boys with us.
You and your friends.
And your friends. Bring a friend. Yeah, friends.
Yeah, smash that like button and subscribe and read all that great content on strangecurrenciesmusic.com.
I feel like we blew so fast through the last one. I'm on the ends of my drink here.
Well, we better save it because we might very well need to activate our drinking game.
We might activate our drinking game.
Are there any songs on here that Brian says are his favorites?
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
I know that he's claimed this his favorite album.
I've stopped making a note of it, actually, because it's just every fucking song.
Every song.
That's my favorite song.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's take a quick break and we're going to come back and talk about something. And we're back. And this week, what are we talking about, Tim?
Acquaintances?
Yeah.
Well,
well-wishers.
Hey, the year's
Associates?
The year's 1968.
It is?
It is 1968, and the Rolling Stones, are having Sympathy for the Devil.
Ooh,
just
scary.
rocking. Jimi Hendrix is all along the Watchtower, Voodoo Child, just rocking. And the Beach Boys
Beatles are out there talking about number 9.
Number 9, yeah, and the Beach Boys are busy doing nothing.
Ooh, there you go.
They're at home. They put out Friends.
This album is called Friends.
Friends. It is nothing like the other aforementioned rock albums.
And we talked about Wild Honey being sort of a anti, trendy kind of thing because everyone's rocking hard and they're doing soul. And this one's even more so. It's just like chill. It has all kinds of like the transcendental meditation influence and the Maharishi.
The album's
yogi.
about meditation. Like that's what this album is.
And I want to say like their strategy is not working out. It's commercially.
Well, commercially,
I forgot to mention this about Wild Honey, but that peaked at number 24, which is their worst selling on Billboard, worst selling album to date. This one peaked at number 126. Yeah.
Criminally,
I think our album
might have finished higher.
reached around those numbers.
Criminally underrated. No spoilers, but at the time, this is way different than anything else anybody else is doing,
and different from
what they've done.
Yeah.
So maybe kind of ostracizing maybe some of what people are expecting from the Beach Boys.
It is and it isn't in terms of like being totally outside of what anybody else is doing. I mean, it's definitely a Baroque pop album. Yeah. 68 is also so sure you can talk about the things that you mentioned, but 68 is also the year of Village Green Preservation Society,
right?
A
Odyssey
very cozy and nostalgia based record. Odyssey and Oracle's got some coziness, certainly the Baroque affectations and all of that stuff. So this isn't as far out of the what some good bands are doing in 68, but it's outside of I think the American norms for sure.
Yeah.
It is outside of the acid rock, heavier, grudgy, louder kind of stuff. And that definitely put it out of odds with critics in the moment for sure. Because those other two records that we just alluded to, Village Green Preservation Society, Odyssey and Oracle, those weren't popular with critics either.
Right.
Neither of them sold very well either. Well, maybe Odyssey and Oracle because Time of the Season was a big hit, but these were outside of the mainstream realm, but they weren't. I don't know. There's other stuff. I mean, I'm not going to rate your music. The first genre classification for this is sunshine pop,
right?
And there's definitely other stuff at that time.
If
sunshine
it is,
deep pop, the Millennium and Sagittarius and things like that of the LA kind of really glossy sort of scene. It fits. It's not as much of a square peg in a round hole, I think, as some people would play it off. But it was also destined to look pretty square in 1968. Yeah. This is a tumultuous year globally, especially like in the United States. This is a fucking shit show of a year. You've got
MLK,
MLK and Robert Kennedy both assassinated.
Yeah.
You've got Vietnam like totally unraveling, Tet Offensive. You've got LBJ withdrawing from the presidential race and the disarray that throws American politics into riots at the Democratic Convention in Chicago that summer, which ultimately paved the way for Richard Nixon of all fucking people to be elected president.
Geez, somebody has been jonesing to get back into the classroom. You haven't lectured in a while.
Did you learn all this stuff from Wikipedia?
Yes.
I hadn't heard about any of this stuff.
Yeah. So anyway,
Matt's the history teacher who hasn't been able to teach for a week and a half.
Yeah. But anyway, like the country's teetering on the precipice of some
heavy stuff going on, and
the Beach Boys are like pushing against all those headwinds, and like I mentioned Rate Your Music, and here's the descriptors for Friends on Rate Your Music. There's a lot of them, so just get ready. Mellow, warm, peaceful, soft, optimistic, nature, melodic, male vocalist, meditative, pastoral, lush, soothing, calm, summer, psychedelic, playful, uplifting, poetic, lo-fi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most of those are correct.
I think all of those fit.
Yes, it fits for what this is, but that's not what you would expect to get from 1968.
That's not where the Vanguard
would
have been seen in 68.
And as a result, I mean, be honest, sure, they're the hardcores acknowledge, but for a casual fan who's aware maybe not much of the Beach Boys, this album probably gets passed over. Maybe you haven't heard of it, haven't maybe taken the time to listen to it, because it gets
actually gets
washed
passed
away.
by.
Yeah.
Pass me by.
See what you did there.
Yeah, I mean, I can
It does.
imagine in context, maybe not like if it were 1968 and I was a Beach Boys fan, or maybe not a Beach Boys fan, I could see it like in context, just being like, what the hell is this? But, the first time I heard it was so far out of context, it was like 20 whatever. It's just as a standalone thing. Like even, knowing their past work, you put this on and you're like, oh, this is actually really nice. Because so many Beach Boys albums are like the sort of uneven failed ones. They have stuff on them that's actively bad or annoying or obnoxious or whatever. And this one's just chill. It's just like, this is a pleasant experience all the way through.
Well,
exceedingly
not all the
good
way
nature.
through,
That's how
yes.
I would
Exceedingly
describe
good
it
nature.
is good nature. And that's the other interesting thing. Like, music doesn't happen in a vacuum. Like, culturally, there's all kinds of stuff going on. And, like, that's the other thing is sometimes people's tastes ebbs and flows. And, I think there's definitely in our current, zeitgeist, whatever, there's something about lo-fi that has come back into vogue a little bit. And so I think, there's some of that, vaporwave that we'll see a little bit later. But, some of these trends come in and out, and it was definitely out when it first came.
Right.
And some people call that ahead of their time or whatever. But for whatever reason, this didn't take up have much traction when it came out. But it's, don't underrate it is kind of my takeaway, because I've thoroughly enjoyed listening.
And this is like Brian also kind of stepping up again in on the production side. He refers to this as his second unofficial solo album after Pet Sounds, which is
what?
Yeah, which is funny because he didn't write all the songs.
This album is seems to me and intentionally it's all of them.
Of a group, yeah.
Yeah, it feels more like a group effort than some of the others.
Yeah,
but he's called it a solo album.
Yeah,
interesting.
I think it's on the, like I said, on the production side.
On the production side, exactly.
He brings in some of the studio musicians, maybe a little bit more than the last one. Yeah.
I mentioned in the catalog crawl, which we've referenced over and over again, but the all of those descriptors that I just talked about, peaceful and pastoral and meditative and all of that, all of those things make sense. They're all apt. But being able to make something that is able to evoke all of that, it doesn't happen by accident. Like, this is a full-on,
it's cohesive,
full effort production by Brian Wilson.
Yeah,
in the way that the previous two records weren't.
But I think they were, just in a different style. Like, I mean, that's the thing. He was leaning into this, like, we're a band and we're going to kind of do this together. And for Smiley Smile, it was like we're in our home and we're going to strip down these ideas. But this one just happens to be a little bit more fleshed out, a little more intentional
theme,
Yeah,
it's
right.
a little bit more thematic.
I mean,
the last one had a nice
theme.
soul theme, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a different theme. And that's, I think that's my point, is Brian's got, with Smile, there's always been this talk that it's all of these things. It's going to be a, it's going to be a
blank to blank,
but it's going to be health food. He's going to do a suite on health food and on the elements and on, and so I feel like some of this stuff has been simmering for a while.
Sure.
And so he's had this idea of doing a soul album and he's had this idea of maybe doing, something more transcendental, pastoral.
Well, but ultimately he's intentionally backed off from production on the previous two.
Correct. And now he's, and there's a time and a place for this.
You wouldn't think he would let the guys do a song completely without him, like Shibu Glued It, but he did. And like Carl was specifically stepping up, and here Brian is, I think he's just getting more comfortable with the idea, like, okay, maybe I can come back and like be a little bit more of a
maybe he's
producer
again, a little bit more confidence
back a little bit. Yeah.
There's some depth to this. There's multi-part songs. There's strings and cello in particular. He's pulling out a vibraphone. Like there's more than just because Smiley Smile was, we're gonna fuck around on an organ and make a bunch of goofy noises.
Yeah.
Wild Honey is, we're going to play like a rock band for the first time in several years. And this one, he's kind of back into that mode of, I want to compose things. I want to have the arrangements be a little more lush. The songs are all pretty minor. The songs are
there isn't really
deliberately low key, but the idea of the musical arrangements and that, I think, is kind of Brian getting a little bit more back into his element as an arranger.
But so just as far as context too, and kind of going back to them being sort of square, like off. This is when not all of them. I don't think Brian went to Rishikesh, but it was
Mike.
Just Mike.
Well, but they all at some point, so they all met up with him. I forget exactly, but it was like Al, Mike, and Dennis.
Him being the Maharishi.
The Maharishi, Mahesh Yogi. And, the Beatles, basically the Beatles went to a retreat in Rishikesh, and Mike Love was there too. And he was the only one that actually went on the retreat.
I think like Donovan was there.
Oh, yeah.
Mia Farrow was there. So, but it wasn't that many people. It was like a small group. So there's stories that have come because like Mike kind of like roomed with the like they were all just in close quarters, right?
That fucking leech, Mike Love. The Beatles.
They were, even though he's the only one that went there, like they were all kind of involved in that. And they actually started on this album while he was out of the country.
Right.
And they
didn't Al like get certified to be a transcendental
and so did Mike at some point.
Instructor, yeah.
But they were going to incorporate the Maharishi into a tour. Did you guys there's a whole Wikipedia entry on this, speaking of Wikipedia.
Ooh, let's talk.
Wikipedia down the highway.
It's a disaster.
I heard
like
that
they had to cancel shows because like not enough people showed up. And
oh, really?
Well, so he was the second half of the show. So
it was
so
people would leave after the Beach Boys.
It was a little concert, and then it was a lecture from the Maharishi,
which is what we all want after a concert.
Of course.
See, I heard it was the other way around that he opened at times and people were booing him like we want the Beach Boys.
They only played 5 shows of the tour over the course of 3 days. By the way, they were like doubling up too.
Right.
An afternoon
that was my
concert and lecture
exactly.
by the Maharishi.
They were doing
How did that
stuff.
not work?
Right. And the thing is, they had a failed tour before this in the South. I don't remember if they had.
You mean the South wasn't into the idea of a Maharishi lecture?
Well, no.
either?
Sorry, that was just the Beach Boys. That was before this, and this was their idea. Like, well, Maharishi is really popular right now because of the Beatles.
Yeah.
So this is going to make up all that lost money that our last tour just.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you can't see the Beatles, you can see the next best thing.
Yeah,
fucking Maharishi.
Wait. So them going on tour with Maharishi was not because they really believed it, but because they thought that it was going to be a
smart financial. Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's kind of both of those things. Even to this day, Mike still, says he's all into transcendental meditation and all of that. Wait a minute. Let's just fucking get it over with.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's time for an episode of Heroes and Villains.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right. It's time for Heroes and Villains, where we discuss the heroes and villains of whatever it is we happen to be talking about this week. And this week we're talking about friends. All right, I got heroes and villains. Hero, Tim. Villain, Glenn.
Oh.
Hey.
Well, we're talking about friends.
Oh. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
How am I always the villain? I don't understand this.
You're both villains to me.
After I said you were a hero. No,
That's
okay.
right.
All right, fine. Heroes.
Well, Brian.
Yep, Brian's back.
Also Dennis. Dennis steps up for this album quite a bit.
Still,
a couple songs.
And villain would be Mike Love.
Yeah.
Because he's probably faking all this shit about transcendental meditation.
Like
he's such a dick.
He's such a fucking leech. Like, he just has this compulsive desire to latch on to people that are infinitely more talented than him. Obviously, Brian Wilson, the prime example of this. But then he's like got to go ride on the Beatles coattails,
right.
And like, oh, okay, well, they're into the Maharishi, so I'm going to get into the Maharishi.
Yeah, and I told him to write a surf song.
He takes credit for like
back in the USSR,
in which they were basically making fun of Mike Love.
And there's a story later of like the Beatles being on like Tonight Show or something and talking about this Beach Boys tour, and McCartney being like, I told him it was a bad idea. He's an idiot, basically. So we're talking shit towards Mike Love, but yeah.
There's just a lack of nuance. There's a lack of subtlety. Mike just does not.
He doesn't get it.
He does not take the time to like just really listen.
In the parlance of the day, he just doesn't know where it's at.
Parlance of our times.
He doesn't know where it's at.
And I haven't done enough research, but the Maharishi might be a bit of a villain.
Oh, yeah. Sexy Sadie was written about the Maharishi being a little bit of a creeper, yeah.
Okay, see.
That apparently he was getting a little too handsy with some of the female... the lady folk at Rishikesh, and that John wrote Sexy Sadie. Originally, it was titled Maharishi, and he goes on this like tirade about I don't even remember. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, so that ties in. I don't know if we're done with heroes and villains, but that ties into.
I'm always willing to talk more about how Mike Love is.
Well, sure.
I wish there were more Beatles specific references to Mike Love as a person. You know, because whenever you hear Paul primarily talking about the Beach Boys, he just only ever talks about Brian, which of course. That's 99.9% of the talent, right?
Yeah.
But I would just love there to be more references of John Lennon and Paul McCartney just like tearing into Mike Love for just being so stupid and just such a dumb jackass.
So bold.
Wow.
So bold. Yeah.
So mean
Help 'em.
of you.
But so the thing is, this tour happens after the Beatles have cut ties with the Maharishi.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's taken a nosedive in popularity anyway. And like he gets booed on this tour. Like the whole tour is a disaster, and he heads home to finish some documentary about himself that probably never got finished. I don't know. So that's, and then Friends comes out at number 126. So they're really kind of in a hole here.
Yeah. Oh, I think we're done with Heroes and Villains.
Yeah,
Relevant.
excellent.
Well, I've already moved on. So.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
Anyway, their Beach Boys relevance is at an all-time low. But you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
They can still make music
They
because
can.
they're in Brian's house still.
They're in Brian's house.
And this is, even though we said, musically, arrangement-wise, this is a really different record from Smiley Smile and Wild Honey. I still feel like these three albums are very, very much of a piece.
Yeah, it's like the lo-fi trilogy.
I refer to them as a trilogy in the catalog crawl. I kind of talked about these three albums, this trilogy being sort of establishing the Beach Boys as sort of the like progenitors of oddball bedroom pop kind of stuff. Like they are effectively creating a new template, and we've already said we really liked Smiley Smile, we really liked Wild Honey. Let's dive into Friends.
Yep.
Let's take a quick break
Part of
and
the
let's
trilogy,
come in and talk about side A of this very, very cozy record.
And we're back talking with Friends.
About Friends.
Hi, friend.
Hi. Real quick, so just a couple little fun facts. This is the first Beach Boys album to be mixed and released exclusively in stereo.
Oh, hey.
So they all had, a lot of them were mono, some were both, and this one was only
Fun
stereo.
fact, Tim.
Fun fact.
Thank you.
They're fun fact.
You say that, but I'm holding in my hands right here a 1968 mono copy of it. It just, oh, no, it says stereo.
Is it stereo?
It's playable on stereo and mono phonographs.
There you
but
go. There you go.
So the word mono is on there. Hey, wait a minute. Okay, fine, go, and then we'll...
Okay, one more.
One other fun fact.
One other fun fact, and this maybe Bruce, again, could be nominated for villain. He referred to these songs as wimpy, and that this album is not Brian at full strength.
Bruce is such a fucking... What does this guy bring to the table?
His head is so big because it's full of rocks.
Yeah, exactly.
Wimpy?
I've had about enough of Bruce.
He's a good organ player.
Okay, that piece
And
is
he can
fine.
sing.
You know what? I think the Beach Boys had evolved beyond the need for Bruce Johnston.
Well, he's on the cover.
Hey, wait a minute. Sounds like it's time for an episode of Sound Vision. Yeah, it's time for Sound and Vision, where we discuss all things aesthetic using the scale provided to us by David Bowie. Glenn, if we really like something, we call it a
Low.
David Bowie's masterpiece. Tim, if we don't like something, we call it a
Never let me down. And it's okay. It's okay that he let us down. Once.
Hey Matt, what's it called? If
tonight's pretty bad too.
Hey Matt, if
That
it's
album-
just
that
an
album's pretty
okay,
shitty.
if it's just an okay, Matt, what is it?
Don't try to rush me. Last week, when we were talking about Never Let Me Down and lecturing
The ghost of David Bowie.
Yeah, he started knocking shit over.
Yeah.
Like
he was
knocked stuff out of
pissed.
Tim's hands.
Twice.
It's weird, twice. But yeah, if something's merely okay, we call it Let's Dance.
Yeah.
David Bowie's okayest album.
Is this the first appearance of Bruce on a front cover? I think it is.
I didn't know they had room for his head on there.
Is his head proportionally?
No, it's scaled down.
It's scaled down. It looked because it doesn't look like they're all in proportion.
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. I think I see something here on the left side. Okay. Mm-hmm. Tell me that is not Paul fucking McCartney.
Ooh, it does look like a young Paul.
Yeah.
Top left?
No, left.
Bottom
on the horizon.
Left. On
the
horizon,
in the green cloud.
That looks like
that
a
is
young
Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Brian, can I be on your album cover?
Well, who's this big jawed guy on the right then? Is that just Carl? It just looks like Carl.
Do they have any celery? Because Paul looks hungry.
Yeah, Paul does look like he could use a stalk of celery.
You know, look right above Brian and Mike's head, Tiny Tim.
Oh, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Well, you should log on, all of you fun listeners, you should log on to Talkin' Beach Boys, get on the Instagrams, take a look at this Friends cover here so you can
it's something.
Converse with us. It is something. It's got a kind of a watercolory vibe to it.
Yeah.
When you flip it around, I think I see Edgar Allan Poe in the reflection on the left.
You know what, Matt? It sounds like you're a little hesitant on this one.
I think they broke the streak.
It's a low.
No,
I think it's a low.
I feel like it's a low.
You guys are being way
now,
too
okay, hold on.
Perfectly with the vibe of the album.
It totally fits the vibe of the album. It's got this artistic feel to it.
It's an artwork. It's not a photograph.
Piece of art. It is. There's a color to it. There's some color theory
contrast,
going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Some good contrast. There's some there's nuance in the background.
It almost
and
looks
in the
like
reflections.
it almost looks like Al is reclined across Dennis's lap.
It is. It's transcendental. There's a landscape here. It's pastoral. But it's also there's like some kind of a little bit of acidy,
a little bit
wash. But like it's great. It's great.
Yep.
It's low.
It's a low.
Matt, what
Streak
is your
is
problem?
alive.
What is your problem, Matt?
All right, you know what?
I think it's time for an episode of Heroes and Villains.
No, shut up.
Matt, you're the freaking villain for hating on this album cover.
I don't know. I don't hate it. I just don't think that it rises to the level of low.
A cold low or perhaps a hot let's dance?
Yeah. You okay with that?
Well, when I dance and it's hot,
I don't know. I feel like you guys are allowing them to coast on the momentum of some legitimate lows. Like, and I told you last time I was kind of on the fence about Wild Honey. Whatever.
I think it's better than the Smile artwork. You know,
what
the pen art, because that's like it's good, but it's very childlike. This is at least watercolors, which is also childlike, but.
It's
fine.
Whatever.
There's shading, there's gradients.
All I'm going to say is if this streak goes on any longer, I know you guys are absolutely fucking trolling me. Because we're getting to a fucking cursed. No. We're getting to a cursed image. Soon,
yeah. The next one I don't
and beyond cursed image
care for.
Yeah, so
Donovan, the green guy on the right is Donovan.
Is that?
No.
I think so.
I can see it actually.
I think it is. I think that's Paul on the
big.
left, and I think that's Donovan on the right. I think the other guys in the clouds are like friends of theirs. They're friends. The album's called Friends. It's about meditation. Let's all be one. Let's be together.
One of the faces looks unfinished. Kind of like a creepy mask.
I'm done talking about this album cover. We're half an hour into this episode, and we haven't talked about a single song on it. So,
oh shit. Okay.
All right.
Track one. Meant for you.
I think this is beautiful.
It's
lovely.
It's a Mike Love lead, but it fades out after like 38 seconds. So there's not too much Mike.
Not too much Mike.
All you can take.
Right.
I didn't mind it so much, but like it's what 38 seconds long. This got me thinking and looking and searching. It was fun. Have you listened to the
full one?
Friends sessions? Yeah,
full
session.
It's on the Friends sessions, but there's also one without the studio chatter on Made in California. It's the full version of this song.
I haven't gotten there yet, Tim.
I remember being at Matt's house one time and like this song came on, and I think we both thought it was just that short little thing from Friends, but then it kept going. You start singing about a pony,
right?
Like, what the hell is this? And so that's how I knew that there was a full version out there.
So so you can hear a full version. It's a fuller song, more complete song, but but they just took a snippet of it to open the album. And it's kind of like a call, an invitation to a meditation. It's kind of like, okay, let's take a moment, take a deep breath, look around, join us, if you will. I think it's fitting.
There's a lot of do's and stuff. It's nice.
It's lovely.
Okay. You like it, Matt? You like
it's
that song?
fine.
It's fine. All right, track 2, Friends.
Great.
Love it.
Excellent.
Best song on the album.
Yeah. It's it's one of the more elaborate ones. It was a single with Little Bird, and it did better than the album. Although it peaked at 47, which is they missed the top 40. But yeah, good song. The harmonica. Brian could have done a whole harmonica band, I think, with the way he uses that instrument, like the bass and then I don't know what key the higher kind of part is, but there's just a lot of good harmonica shit going on. Good stuff.
Yeah, I like it. I recorded a cover of this.
That's right. It was very good.
It was Tim that put me up to it too. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
I actually broke that
And
up.
I nominated you for Honking Down the Highway, which you did
not
not
I didn't do.
do.
I had like Solitary Man, I think.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Okay, Wake the World.
Oh, we don't have anything else about Friends?
I mean, we do.
Like,
We're just
the lyrics?
We're just like
They're so fucking weird.
I'm trying to rush now because you said we were so behind.
We're at 33 minutes.
Let's see, Friends.
The lyrics are great. I talked to your folks out of making you cut off your hair.
Right.
And, dimpaloo, dim, where he just says, we don't need any more lyrics on this part.
It's great. It's very almost like blissful.
It's charming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it.
It's a good song. Okay,
stuff.
now track 3.
Okay, fine.
Wake the World. Apparently the first writing collaboration between Brian and Carl.
Hey.
Another one of his slice of life songs, Brian's, because it's really just about waking up and going to work, apparently. But it has like not all the songs have necessarily. I don't feel like all the songs tie into the meditation thing, but this one seems to in the wake the world sense. Like open your mind, wake up, all that stuff, and I think it fits into the theme in that sense. It's got a great tuba part. There's a Roxy chord in there apparently. The fake harpsichord is a Roxy chord.
Oh. Yeah, it's a cool song. I really like this one quite a bit. It's 1 minute and 29 seconds long, which is weird because it doesn't seem like it's that minor.
Right. I think it's just because it fades out. It's another one that maybe there's a longer version out there.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it kind of fades out as he's kind of going back into the first verse again. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Very good.
So Be Here in the Morning. Be There. No, Be Here in the Morning.
Be Here.
Is the next track. I almost thought this was like a guest, maybe a Marilyn vocal or something like that, like singing lead. It's so high. It's crazy. And it is Brian.
It's Brian.
Fun fact, Tim. Fun fact. This Be Here in the Morning is the only song in the entire Beach Boys catalog that credits all 5 Beach Boys as writers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
interesting. Fitting that
All
on an
5.
album,
We're not counting Bruce Johnston
Bruce
as one
does
because
not.
he's not really a Beach Boy.
Yeah. Another fun fact is that apparently Murray Wilson is on this track singing a bass part.
I saw that. Yeah,
But I can't hear it unless it's the chord they hit at Make My Life Full. It could be that. Because otherwise I don't hear him at all. You do hear Marilyn though at some point, and she is in there singing as well. But yeah, allegedly Murray's on there.
They're like referencing their friends on this one too, and like their cousin, right? What's that line? No calls from Korthoff or
Parks or Grillo.
Yeah.
Which are, they're like 3 people, not Van Dyke Parks.
No, it's John Parks.
Yeah,
apparently.
and then Grillo is Nick Grillo. And then, I guess the other one, cousin. I don't remember, but there's references to people they know.
And
friends.
Parks and Korthoff were credited as writers on When a Man Needs a Woman.
Cool.
Next song.
What about When a Man Loves a Woman? Did they have anything to do with Michael Bolton?
Yes, actually,
That's the version that I believe to be the only version.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Who needs Percy Sledge?
Right.
Yeah.
So that is the next song, When a Man Needs a Woman. I like it. It's a weird premise.
It's kind of creepy.
It's like, hey, son, let me tell you about when a man and a woman get together and make one of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little creepy.
It's kind of creepy.
But I love the organ. It sounds like a hockey arena organ, you know? I do like that. And it's funny to think that Brian, at this point, Marilyn was pregnant with their first daughter. Brian must have assumed it was going to be a boy or was just hoping for a boy. Because he sings about my son. Yeah.
And he was wrong.
He was wrong. So very wrong. Nothing but girls. All right, next track's Passing By. It's an almost instrumental.
Yeah, it's got the...
Apparently it did have lyrics. Like that melody was going to be words, and Brian just decided, let's just do it like that. I like the way the bass harmonica sneaks in. It's like... It's like a bee flying by your ear. I like that.
And not that bee noise that somehow made it onto Country Air.
No.
Talked about last week.
More intentional.
Yeah.
There's bongos on here. There's more of that organ.
Definitely the orchestral elements of Brian in the studio coming here a little more intentional. Yeah.
And it has it's just there's a richness to the production.
Yeah.
In fact, this is still like a lo-fi album. They still recorded it in the living room, but it feels warmer and more rich, and
it almost has more of
to it.
Kind of a jazz-inspired
something
progressions,
it's good stuff.
This side of this album is like 12 minutes worth of music.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do all the addition right now.
Well, the whole thing's like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like 2 minutes longer than Wild Honey.
I think I might have even been overselling it at 12 minutes. Hold on.
And it's because they do things like with Meant for You and Be Here in the Morning, where they're almost just like parts of longer works. Like they fade out.
11 and a half minutes.
The song just does what it does and gets out of there. There's no lingering.
Is there any like modular writing in this, or
I don't think so.
Diamond Head definitely feels like it's modular.
Yeah,
because
it
goes
has different like
in and
movements.
out of a few different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's short. There's nothing of it that's major. I mean, Friends is both the longest and most complex song, but it's 2.5 minutes, and it's still even just kind of this small little piece. But it all works really well. I feel like I don't know. It sustains a vibe that might have been really nice with like some crossfade as well too, just to almost make it like its own, little side of coziness or something like that. But it's good.
It's good.
It's really good.
Love it. All right, that's side one.
All right, well let's take a break, and we're gonna come back and talk about side two.
Yeah. We're back talking side B of Friends. We've got a very NPR vibe going in here because of how chill this record is. Yeah,
it's chill. Yeah. It's very nice and very thoughtful of you.
Chocolate salty balls, isn't that?
Anyway, tell me, Tim.
Track one of side B.
Are your ball? How do you like your?
Let's move on. Yeah. Anna Lee, the healer, was a masseuse that Mike met in Rishikesh.
Gross.
This is a very Mike song.
This is where the vibes get weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it as a song. It still fits into the whole kind of feel of the album, but it's
because it's still really a Brian Wilson joint, but it's got Mike Love vocals.
This seems like one of the more probably the most square song on the album
because
like,
Mike is square.
She's really cool. She likes to heal people.
No, it's no subtlety. It's just right in your face. We get it. We get it. Meditation, good. Go back to Rishikesh.
Not even that. Like just probably some happy ending stuff involved because it's Mike. But whatever.
Hey,
it's good.
He can't help it. He's a ladies' man.
That's right.
Guilty as charged.
There's hot chicks that he's hot for. It's just Yeah. Anyway. So there. Track 2, Little Bird. Hey now.
Yes. Now we're talking.
So this is written by Dennis and some other guy. There is some evidence, basically Brian fixed it up again, like he took their stuff.
It's
rearranged
Steve
it.
Kucinich.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's related to Dennis Kucinich.
Probably. Yeah. They changed it a little bit for
They both
modern
spell and
times.
pronounce their names differly, but they're probably related.
And Brian redid the melody and stuff, but he didn't take any credit, seemingly because this is Dennis's moment here. Let's let him shine.
Well, and Brian definitely did the music for the arrangement for sure. It kind of evolves out of "Child is the Father of the Man."
Yeah, apparently
that bridge you can hear when it goes in almost like that little double time, and then there's that thing in there.
Oh yeah,
there's little elements of
okay.
it, and you can hear it in there.
It's I like how it has kind of a dark. It almost has an 80s like almost a Warren Zevon kind of feel to it at the beginning, but then it gets all major in that so it kind of has this sort of two-sided thing that I like.
Yeah.
I think the bass line is hilarious because it's just like dum dum. It's just like these individual notes, which is funny because it's so different from so many of these Beach Boys songs with these complex bass lines. And it's not like it's any one of them even playing it. It's a session guy playing it, but it's just this very minimalistic. It's just the bass notes are just there for punctuation. I think it works really well. What else? I mean, I guess that's it.
Yeah, it's another highlight.
It's another highlight for sure.
Definitely one of this and Be Still. The next track.
The oohs are very Beatlesque. Anyway, right. The next track is called Be Still. It's another Dennis joint. I don't remember if did he write it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is also, I think,
right.
credited to that same Dennis Kucinich, who apparently wrote it as a whole poem or something like that.
Okay.
And apparently there's a version that's him just reading the poem out over Brian playing the organ or something like that.
But yeah, I love the minimalism of this one. It's really just voice and organ, I think, right?
Dennis and organ.
And it's Dennis singing again. Dennis doing a good job.
And Carl is credited as well.
Okay.
With some vocals on it. Yeah.
And the next one, Busy Doing Nothing.
Yeah. I figure we might slow down here a little bit.
So this might be my favorite on the album. At least Friends and this one. This is another slice of life, hanging out in my house kind of song. But this is 100% Brian joint because it's all session musicians. Yeah. The only other credit is Brian writing and singing. And it's great. It's very bossa nova. It's got that. It's
definitely got a bossa nova feel. I think sometimes it's a little overemphasized.
Right.
It's bossa nova-esque. Yeah, sure.
Again, I alluded this in the opening, but Hendrix and the Rolling Stones are doing this banging, rocking, electric Ladyland, and here's a bossa nova tune.
This is 1968, the peak year of the Tropicalia scene, Glenn.
Okay.
So,
and
there's some bossa nova stuff influence that's being done by some pretty fucking rad forefront artists in 1968. Let me remind you.
Well, yes. So then here's my question: how much of Brian?
Brian knew nothing of that, I'm sure.
Okay.
But
well, really?
Probably.
So it was just coincidental that Brian's busting out.
He knew bossa nova. I'm sure he had heard Getz Gilberto, and I'm sure he had probably some familiarity with Jorge Ben.
Diamond
George
Head
Ben,
is more Tropicalia.
Yeah, I don't know that this necessarily is super Tropicalia, but I think the point that I was trying to get to with Glenn here is that Glenn's talking about how bossa nova is out of the norm of what was cool in 1968, but
I think
bossa nova
I think that's
was
still
all
true.
over some really fucking cool shit.
Well,
there
was in Brazil, not in
Brazil.
the U.S.
Right. That's my point.
I think Glenn's point stands.
I just wanted to bring up Tropicalia.
And Matt's the villain for bullying me.
But, you can make a song out of just I woke up and had to write down some ideas so I don't forget them.
Right.
There's that hilarious part where he's trying real hard to remember a phone number.
And I wrote it. I didn't write it down. I tried it.
He calls it.
Call.
And it rings.
I think I'll write him a letter.
And it rings some more, and they don't pick up. So, yeah, and then I wrote a letter to my friend. That whole phone number part has Marilyn Wilson singing, just doubling his part. You can hear that in there.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it. And then he's giving directions
silly.
to his house.
Yeah, directions.
That's the thing I wanted to talk about, because you've got your whole blank to blank thing.
Yeah,
you don't want to hear. And all right, I get it. It's cute. Like, take the road and there's a gate or whatever. But he's not literally giving directions to his house. Like, there's this whole thing like, oh, if you listen to this song, you can find out where Brian Wilson.
No, it's backwards.
He's like.
He doesn't give a starting point.
Little directions. There's no starting point.
There's a sign. It doesn't say what the sign says.
Yeah. So it's not him literally giving directions. So anyway, that always.
But it's like if you were his friend
somewhere, like, oh, he's giving directions, but
it's like he's giving directions to a friend who knows where his house is, or he knows where they're starting from. He's like, oh, you just go down the street a couple miles, take a left for a couple blocks.
Well, hey, I mean, take the A Train, Billy Strayhorn, Duke Ellington. Like, that's the quintessential song written with directions to.
There you go. There it is. It's a trend.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
I'm going to make a playlist of songs.
All over again.
I'm going to make a playlist of songs that are directions to people's homes.
It's a song about nothing.
That's right. It is. This is the Seinfeld of Beach Boys songs.
Yeah.
Good song.
Love it.
It is a good song.
All right. So next song. This is a true instrumental. This is Diamond Head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love it. This is like you said, it has like kind of multiple movements. I guess exotica is a better way to describe it than
kind of loungy elements to that too.
Definitely exotica-y, which again definitely wouldn't have been cool in 1968. But yeah, it's cool. It's got a little bit of that Pet Sounds Smiley kind of era stuff.
I was gonna say I don't know for sure. I don't see it on the credits, but it sounds like the Sparkletts bottle again.
Ooh.
For sure in there.
I like when it just gets into that weird like
right. You think it's over, and then it's still going. Oh, and that crazy reverb at the beginning. It's like just like all it is. It's supposed to sound like thunder or something at the very start. I love that.
Yeah.
That sort of reverb, I guess it's spring reverb. I associate it with being a child and going to the circus at the Memorial Coliseum here in Portland in the nosebleed seats, because you can hear that same sound. Anything that comes up from there bounces off the ceiling and makes that exact same sound.
Interesting.
All right, final track, side B. Transcendental meditation. I like this song a lot.
So we back to
It's called Transcendental Meditation.
Yeah, we had done a wilderness feature
Mm-hmm.
on this era, the first one that we did. The three of us, at least. And this was like the really divisive track that Tim really loved it. And I think Glenn really, really hated it. And I was kind of like, whatever, it's fine. Has anybody's position really shifted on it much?
No?
I think for the same reasons I don't like it is, again, it feels like it's just so on the nose. We get it.
It's a little out of place. It's the only rocker really on the album.
Well, I wouldn't call it a rocker. Here's my take on it. It feels like Mike is saying, "Hey, we got to pump up this transcendental meditation. We're making a theme album here. We need to make this all about friends and being part of the connected with. And if we do this song, it'll be almost like a theme song that we could play. And then the Maharishi can come out and we'll make a bunch of money. And this is us being cool, transcendental meditation." And then Brian comes and writes this piece that's like the opposite of peaceful, because it's just like super like chaotic and discordant, and it
really is. I like that about it.
Yes,
but then it also
and
has
it's
those that baritone sax line. It's just,
it is. It's kind of off kilter. It's just like it's off, and I can't tell if this is Brian trolling Mike. like you think this transcendental meditation is peace, or if it's just like, hey, if your life is discordant, I think you need to meditate, and then that will help even you out.
I read something about them. They did want to make kind of a song to like encourage people to do transcendental meditation, but they didn't want it to be like cheesy or.
It comes off as cheesy to me,
or like sappy, I guess, and they wanted to make something that was upbeat and that maybe people actually enjoy listening to the song. They'll pick up on the messaging.
This is I don't think the music accomplishes that.
I think you're right. Like if it had been up to Mike Love to just like compose the whole song, it would have been really bad, because like lyrically it's almost comically dumb.
Right.
Because they're just saying like, it's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this. It's like a commercial for transcendental meditation. But then the music is so weird and just bizarre. Like, yeah, I think that's all Brian. And I don't know if he was going for that to sort of like take some wind out of those sails, or if he honestly thought it was just like a catchy tune or what. But just that the horns or whatever, it's like it's very discordant. It's like
right.
It's just so weird, but at the same time, I do think it is kind of catchy, and it's just so bizarre, and I do like it.
It is kind of catchy too.
I like it.
Right.
It is. It's totally like sort of out of the vibe of the rest of the record musically, but it reminds me of a move that they had previously done in a way, a couple of times, like having effectively like the penultimate track on an album be an instrumental, and then having just a vocal track to end it out after that. Obviously, they had done that on Pet Sounds with the title track and Caroline No, which is a very, very different kind of a mood established there. They'd also done a similar thing with Summer Means New Love, which was like that lush instrumental. There's like a little very minute-long coda thing, followed by I'm Bugged at My Old Man.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys remember that little transition there? Back on a little record that I like to call Dias de Verano y También Sus Noches!
It sounds more and more like a murderous, I don't know, I'm being stabbed to death kind of thing every time.
Hey, but if you were being stabbed to death, you would put 2 exclamation marks on it.
At least.
True.
But anyway, it does remind me of that like weird kind of jarring transition. Like we've established this thing that you almost kind of think the album should end here.
Right.
It becomes really tranquil. And then there's this weird like kind of off song that follows it.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
Bugged at My Old Man, which is just fucking bizarre. And technically, yes, there's a minute long little And Your Dream Can Comes True tag after that. But like they do that same move here.
Right.
Like, we've like lulled you into this really trance-like state, and now we're going to hit you with the mantra, transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit off-putting, I guess.
Right.
But it kind of works. I mean, I'd rather the album do have it than not, but it just almost kind of feels like it could have been somewhere else.
I don't know. I feel like it kind of only works at the end like that because it is such a hard shift. Like, I don't know. It would have to either be the beginning of
what do you
of a
put
side
after it? Right.
or the end of the
I can see
side, I
that.
think. But yeah, coming back from a weird "this should be the end" to a song also, I'm remembering it that happens on All Summer Long, except it's not a weird song at the end. It's a good song. Like they have one of their audio verite things, and then it's "Don't Back Down."
Yeah.
But in this case, it's weird. It comes out of nowhere.
Should it have ended side 1 after Passing By?
No, I don't know. I think it works where it is. It's like a weird little coda. It's almost like a curtain call, you know?
Okay, I can see that.
Like, hey, here we are. You've been listening to Friends by the Beach Boys.
Let's meditate and hear the Maharishi.
The man you've all been waiting for.
Well, and maybe actually that's what's supposed to happen. They end with that, and then you're supposed to put on
Billy Shears.
you're supposed to put on a record that has a lecture by Maharishi.
Oh, man.
Well,
All right. Well, hey, I think it's time for us to rate this album.
all right, I'm giving it a Brian.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What?
No.
Well,
No,
'cause,
you are
like,
not.
A couple weeks ago, we talked about like our calibration for these ratings, right? And I had assumed at first that the only one that was going to be a Brian was going to be Pet Sounds, but then, Matt at some point gave Today a Brian.
I did. I stand by that.
Yeah, and I respect that. I can see why. But that kind of just made me think like, well, maybe there's more than one Brian. And this, I've long said that this is my second favorite Beatles album, or Jesus Christ, Beach Boys album. I connected with it right away. I love putting this one on just for fun, to listen to it. I've got it on vinyl. This is my other Brian for sure.
Okay.
Wow.
I can respect that. It feels too minor for me to be a Brian, only because 25 minutes and it's just so deliberately low key, but I get that. Like, there's a time when a record like that is exactly what you want.
Yeah. There's no God Only Knows on it or anything like that. But
not even close, but that doesn't mean that it's not great. I'm going to give it a Dennis. I think it's a Dennis. I'm comfortable with that for sure.
Yeah. Giving it a Manson.
I'll give it a soft Dennis.
All right.
Yeah, soft Dennis. I would. There's a time and a place. Yes, there's a time and a place for this album. This does feel a little bit more substantive than Wild Honey, but I think I end up putting Wild Honey on more often. just because that one kind of speaks to what to me.
But
again, I think that's the other interesting thing is I think each of these Beach Boy albums are meet needs. They're kind they're time and place, and I think that's why they aren't all necessarily what everyone needs at that every time. And I love this idea of this lo-fi trilogy.
I was gonna say, with this trilogy in particular, they all have very different, distinct vibes from each other.
Yes, and I think there's a time when you really just need a smiley smile.
Yeah,
and there's a time when you really need a Friends. And there's a time when you need a Wild Honey. I tend to have more Wild Honey times myself, but again, I think these all, and that's the interesting thing about I think this catalog in general is that I think there are. That's one of the interesting things about albums as a piece of art is that they serve purposes. You're not necessarily going to be at a sock hop. And any of these Some Busy Doing Nothing's going to come on and let's go out and dance. But I think this is kind of it reiterates how personal of a thing that music can be. That this is what I need to sit down and listen to and hear. It's not necessarily we're at a party, we're up, getting on the dance floor,
drinking root beer all day long.
Tracks coming out, or necessarily, hey, let's all pack into the arena and scream our heads off together while we sing. Transcendental meditation.
I don't know. As you guys established, they're all very different from each other, but they all work very, very well together. Yeah. The three of them together are barely over an hour of music, and it's just a great hour of music.
And if they all sounded exactly the same, it wouldn't be interesting.
It would, it wouldn't work anywhere near.
And you can't necessarily put them all together on one album because they are distinct. It's like their movements. It's like Speaker Box.
It's Outcast. Like the original Star Wars trilogy,
Well, it's like we didn't get Smile, but it's almost like we got this instead.
This trilogy
instead, because the trajectory would have been very, very different if Smile came out, and it would have changed the trajectory not only for the Beach Boys, but pop music. But instead, they retreat to Brian's house and they make these three records, and they're fucking great. All three of them are just so cozy and warm and inviting, and they're just fantastic.
Yep. And it's interesting that they're such commercial flops essentially. They know how to. Maybe they don't anymore. Maybe at this point Brian didn't really know how to do this anymore, but he knew how to we need a hit. So, let's do Good Vibrations.
Do you though? That's my point. Is
he could have.
Well, they wanted it. They wanted it. Mike but they had no idea how to do that in 1968.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's for the better that they didn't.
I would agree. That's my point. And I think that's why
they were in a hole, and then they put out Good Vibrations, and maybe this will be a hit, and it was. But in this case, they're I don't know. They put out Smiley Smile. There's no hits, and then they I guess. I don't know. They just seem very disconnected with what might actually be marketable.
Well, and they're almost just not even trying. And you know what's going to happen when they try? Fucking student demonstration time.
Yeah.
When they try to tap into and we'll talk about that soon enough. Brian starts to go through some shit right around the end of this period. And Friends is kind of the beginning of the end or the end of the beginning or whatever. This is where he's going to start to really,
there's a line.
Really check out. Yeah. And I think that further solidifies these three albums as a piece, this little capsule of where they, and more importantly, where Brian was at in 67 and 68, first half of 68, because things are going to shift in a very different direction. Oh. A lot of that direction is we've seen sort of, Carl stepping up. We've seen a slightly more, quote unquote, democratic version of a band emerging here. But this ends this trilogy because... There's some shit on the horizon.
Interstitial stuff going down.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll be for next time. Let's take one last quick break and wrap it all up. All right. Back to wrap it all up.
Yeah.
Smiley Smile, Wild Honey, Friends, Bottom Line. They're all
wonderful.
Fucking great. They all average out to be about a dentist, we'd say, maybe.
Yeah.
It's just a great trilogy.
Yeah. Great trilogy. Go get some Friends. Go listen to it. Spend a week. Chill out. listen to it, talk about
Get
it.
a big old tent,
Get
put
a
it in your
tent.
living room, then get a jar
Maybe
of wild honey.
Maybe a sandbox.
Eat some sandwiches.
Eat some
some
sandwiches.
sandwiches.
Invite your friends.
Put some toes in the sand.
Smash that like button.
And do some TM. Oh yeah.
Talking Beach Boys on the Instagrams. Strange Currencies music. Check it out. All kinds of good stuff.
Wikipedia.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
known.
Focast.
That's
good.
Fraudcast.
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 All right. Well, hey, we got to go.
Okay, bye.
All right. We will see you next week.
Later.
Oh, jeez.